I was fortunate because I was on the radio and I had a tremendous promotional tool behind me.
Right.
So I got to work, open up for Dom. I got to open up for Richard Jeni, Dice Clay, Jay Moore, Kevin Pollak. I can go on and on and on. I got to work with a lot of great comedians.
Yo, Dom, hey, Dom, hey.
Yo, Dom.
What a surprise. Oh, hey, brother.
I miss you.
I miss you. I love this guy.
I
He
love
didn't
you
even tell
too,
me.
man.
He didn't tell me what he had. My girlfriend was some Goumba. I don't know. This is the man.
Well, it was a late entry, right? And Steve, I guess you and Steve talked or something. I didn't know until just now.
I followed up. I was slacking, but a while ago we talked.
Yeah, I worked
about
with
it.
Steve.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, great.
We worked together at the Brigada, and then I mentioned it to him, and he was like, I love Dom. We work together all the time.
Yeah,
I'll let you guys do it.
No,
hold on.
we had
I
some
missed
great
that.
shows.
Go ahead.
I have to say, Dom, I tell everybody this. There are two sets. I'm talking about 45-minute plus sets from headliners that I remember in my life. And I worked with a lot of people. And one was from Rich Jeni at Caroline's. It was flawless. And the second one was you at the brokerage. I stood there in the back, and I have to tell you, I was just in amazement how seamless both of you guys were in your comedy. And
I could beat him in a fight, though. Give me that. Little fucking fat out of shape bastard.
I got a funny Rich Jeni story to tell you. Lewis called me up at Caroline's, and he goes, "I want you to work with Rich Jeni." So I said, okay. So I met him before. John Mulrooney introduced me to him out in LA when they were living together. And so he goes, "You need to be careful." He goes, "Rich could be a little moody." So I said, okay, don't worry about it. So it's just me and him doing the show, a 2-man show. And Monday comes and I get a call from Lewis. He goes, "Richard Jeni loves you. Did you hear what I said? Richard Jeni loves you and he wants to work with you again." So he goes, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, I came in on Friday and I said hello to him and I said good night to him on Saturday. I didn't speak one word to him. I didn't go in the green room. I didn't do anything." So he goes, "Well, he loves you. You did the right thing."
He used to, with me, he was like, he had like a jealous thing. Not that, I mean, he's terrific. I'm not going to, but he's like, I said, "You don't fucking say hello to people." Of course not. What do you think they are? You know, remember how withdrawn he was?
Yes.
When he shot himself, I wasn't that surprised. I was in Atlanta. I'm sorry he had such pain, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a good way to start a show. You know, who else has got their head blown off? It's called The Rough Show, Rough Tom.
Yeah.
Now, you were raping a radio show, right?
I had the radio show. You would come up in New York. I had on WKTU. I was on the radio for like 16, 17 years.
How much you get for that?
What do I get for what year?
No, I'm kidding.
I will say this, Tom. I started off, I was the lowest paid person at the station. You know,
nobody resents you then.
No, when you're the lowest paid, everybody loves you.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Get him a coffee. He doesn't have the money for it.
They were
were you a comic before you got on radio, John?
I managed a comedy club in Yonkers. It was called Shooting Stars, and it was a bucket of blood. And the stories that came out of there were just amazing. And one night, comedians, the opening act didn't show up, so I got up and I attempted to host. And you know, like anything else, it's baptism through fire. You know what I mean? The one thing I remember is when I was up there, I was sweating, and I remember saying to myself, I didn't know I had sweat glands behind the ears. Sweat was dripping from behind my knees, behind my ears. It was coming down like a faucet. And I'm an athlete. I played sports my whole life. I never sweated like that than I did on stage. And despite all that, I got the bug and I started hosting, and I stopped for a while. And then when I got into radio, I started again. But I was fortunate because I was on the radio and I had a tremendous promotional tool behind me.
Right.
So I got to work, open up for Dom. I got to open up for Richard Jeni, Dice Clay, Jay Moore, Kevin Pollak. I can go on and on and on. I got to work with a lot of great comedians.
I don't really like working with the comedians. I like to boogie. You know what I mean? I like to get out there and just dance wild. That's where I dedicate most of it. But you see my legs in Good Looking magazine? I'm doing great. Was that funny?
I don't know. I didn't hear it. Dom, I got hearing aids in right now.
Do you really?
Yeah. I can't. I could hardly. I guess from all the music and all the years working in nightclubs and the radio and so on and so forth. Actually, I do a joke. It's not even a joke in my act. I said, when you're in your 60s, you get weird birthday gifts. This year, I got hearing aids.
They're beautiful. They look just like you.
I would have preferred earrings, but I'll take it.
Here, I'll conclude with Rich, not just to get that straightened out. I had no problem with him. And he spoke him. People talk to me. I said, Rich, you got to talk back. And I said, well, why don't we work together? Both of us were like hot at the time.
Yeah.
He said, why would I do that? I said, well, to make money. I don't know. What else we doing? But
well, I have to tell you, if you two put it together, a show together, I mean, I consider the both of you masters. I mean, you guys were at another level as far as headliners are concerned. Other guys headline and then they got sticks and different type of things and so on and so forth. But, I was always a comedy purist. Mm-hmm. And from a purist standpoint, people like yourself and Richard and Seinfeld and, people who do these flawless sets and they're just seamless. They just, and that was something I always tried to aspire to do, to have that confidence, that continuity that you used to do, that I used to watch you do in your set. And there wasn't a moment where I didn't perform with you where you were not in control of the audience. And I have to tell you, I always admired you for that.
Who's that?
What? No, I mean it. But Dom, the thing I remember you most for is your impersonation.
Leave the waitresses out of this.
No, you do. He only does one impersonation, and it's unbelievable. I hope you can do it. It's Bobby Collins.
What is it?
Your Bobby Collins impersonation.
Hey, you hot shit. You lost Wayne, huh? Bobby Collins, oh my God.
He used to go like, Tommy used to go like this. He used to,
do the whole act out?
He used to do Bobby Collins, the imitation of Bobby Collins meeting somebody. And Bobby Collins would come in the room. He goes, Bobby,
yeah, right.
Puts his hands around him. He goes, what's his name?
Yeah. What's his name? Such a, what?
That was a big to do back in the day.
And weird, yeah.
Well, back then, Dom, like making that transition from the clubs to the stadiums, that was kind of unheard of at that time. Now I feel like, isn't it kind of, that's like a new thing. Like comedians are performing in stadiums and like the Wells Fargo, Madison Square Garden. But back in the 90s, was that happening often?
No, this whole thing, it's all about the media, about how they get around. We even had Steve Mountain. What's Steve? Fuck's his name with the white hair?
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Yeah.
We had that was the only big. He stuck a arrow through his head. Yeah. That was one. There wasn't any. It started
to fill a room like that. You're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was no internet. Don't forget. Imagine they looked at the local news. You know, like that's going to get a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, we had constantly governors and brokers, two of the best countries in the country.
And
So without it,
Rascals. Remember Rascals?
oh, of course, yeah, I love those guys.
So back then, like radio that you did, John, that was a big way to sell tickets.
Yeah, there was no doubt about it. You know, at that time, you know, when I was in the radio, people were still reading newspapers. You know, comedy
Yeah.
clubs would advertise in the papers and,
Mhm.
you know, put a picture of Dom, you know, this weekend, you know, Dom Irrera, you know, at so-and-so. And, you know, Dom would come up to my station and, you know, we would promote the gig. And, you know, I was fortunate enough to work, you know, the station had over 2 million listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
New York
Yeah,
City.
so
Yeah.
to get, you know, 300 people in one place wasn't very difficult.
Right.
You know, and people enjoyed having the comedians on. You know, I've had everybody on over the course of you know, my career, and you know, it was easy for me because as a comedian, I didn't feel threatened by other comedians. You know, radio jocks, as a rule, feel a little threatened. The comedians come on and they have these great bits and these great stories, and you know, they feel like you know, they're auditioning for a job or something like that. There was a lot of that. You know, comedians could be very intimidating and like those short bursts on the radio and stuff like that.
Leave Bobby Slayton around about it. He's a good guy.
Bobby Slayton. Oh my God. I worked with him a couple of times. The Pit
Yeah,
Bull.
who's that? Yeah, who's that?
You don't know Bobby Slayton?
No, neither one of us did.
Oh, Bobby Slayton's he's an OG of comedy. You know, he was around with Dom, and he was a right, Dom, a get in your face comedian. Is that a good description?
He was like he was like he had that syndrome where you can't help but cursing.
Right. You got a picture?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it up right now.
Yeah.
Here you go.
I
Nice
think he's
picture of
still
him.
working.
Hey, not much. He called me
No?
up a couple of weeks, and
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to be mean, but he said, "There's no gigs." I'm thinking, for you, there's no gigs. But some guys are making it, you know.
Every comedian says that when he's not working, he doesn't think anybody else is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I've been there. Yeah, I know the feeling. You know.
Well, you had an advantage by having they're all your friends, so you always.
You know, I did, and you know, I mean, I first became friends. You know, when I had the comedy club, when I managed the comedy club, I would go down to Catch a Rising Star to watch the comedians. And at that time, Dom Lewis was the bartender. He wasn't even the manager.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
Lewis used to let me hang out in the back. Now, those shows would start, let's say, at 8 o'clock, and they'd go to 4 in the morning. And on one night, this is any given night, I would sit in the back of that room. I would see Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, George Wallace, Colin Quinn, Dennis Leary, Mario Joyner, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Rich Hall, and Rodney Dangerfield in the same night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And not even knowing what I'm watching.
Yeah.
And
So you were studying the greats. You were
well,
watching
not studying at that point in time. I was looking for, you know, the new talent, you know, to bring up to my club.
What year you think this was? Like 78, 79?
Oh,
Forty.
That was in the 80s.
1980s?
85.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I became friends with Colin Quinn, who was, you know, probably my closest friend in comedy for over the past, you know, 40 years or so.
Wow.
So, you know, and Mike Sweeney, who went on to be head writer for Conan O'Brien for 25 plus years. He was the MC. You know, it's funny now because you go online, Dom, and you see all these comedians doing crowd work. And I'm like, they're talking about how great their crowd work is. And I'm like, they must have never seen Mike Sweeney or John Mulrooney.
John Mulrooney was a genius at that shit.
Oh my God.
Is he still living?
Oh, yeah, he's still
Yeah,
working.
he's still living.
Oh, well, you're talking about him like it was in the.
Well, he was is the past tense. Look it up.
Yeah. He had TV shows and everything. John Mulrooney was a star. He lived with Rich Jeni out in LA. Yeah, John's crowd work is unparalleled, and I see this stuff that people, post online, and I'm like, they're missing the kings of this,
Yeah.
and he was definitely one of them.
I don't know. I feel like, don't you feel like stand-up's going in phases? It was like there was a time where you try to get a tight 5 to 10 to do on showcase on TV, get a TV pilot, and now the internet, it's kind of, you just gotta constantly be writing and feeding the algorithm and just like posting. That's just what it turned into.
Well, it's
It changed.
Everything's changed. People say comedy's changed, but the whole world has changed. Due to the internet. Due to the access, and people can access.
People in here now, excuse me, they were like they've never been in a comedy club, and they were making, so they said millions of dollars. These guys, the internet guys.
Which
one?
What
the fuck? I don't know. We had a couple guys in here. They were good though. But I mean, it's just another way to get to the top, at least money wise.
And a lot of the old school guys, a little bit bitter about it, because it was totally different industry when we got on it. You had to walk around with a headshot and try and get an agent, and stand online to get in clubs, and so on and so forth. And some of these guys, I've worked with some of these guys who have these large social media followings, hundreds of thousands of people, and people come, they pack the clubs. Well, they'll pack the club the first time. If they don't have the goods, the second time it'll be 50%.
Wow.
There's a couple of them. The kid I work with is very good. He started on social media. You know yourself, Steve.
Yeah.
And he has been able to sustain a career because he not only knows how to use social media, he happens to be a comedian. But there's a lot of them out there that that just rely on social media, and they think they can get up on stage and grab the microphone and do 45 minutes an hour, but that's not the case.
Yeah, it takes, right now, I kind of feel like you got to work on so many different things. You got to build the content, you got to write, you got to be out hitting the stage, you got to perform. There's so many layers to it. Whereas,
didn't I tell you not to give him the mic that worked? Go ahead, Steve.
What's that?
No,
he said not, they shouldn't give you the mic that worked.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll push it away, Dom.
Okay. All right, now do something with your hair.
My hair's done. Look at this. He's got a haircut.
It's perfect.
He was messing with my hair last show.
Your hair is.
Dom, I don't look sharp tonight, Dom. Come on, give me a break.
Hey,
I'm hitting the gym. Before we logged on, I was telling Brian, I'm going to the gym 3-4 times a week. Working out at home. I don't know how people do it. You got to get dressed. You got to drive to the gym.
Get to the point.
No, I'm saying working out at home didn't work for me. I wasn't as motivated. Thanks, Dom.
Hey, I'm the one who supports you. That's how sad it is.
I want to be healthy. I was a 42-inch waist, 251 pounds.
What was your heaviest, Steve?
251, 42-inch waist.
Wow, I was 278.
Wow,
damn.
I call it.
Yeah, but when we worked together in October, I was saying how you were really I couldn't believe how old you were when you told me.
Yeah, I'll be.
You could tell you work out.
I'll be. Well, I was an athlete, So I mean, when I played football, I played about 265.
Right.
And then after that, I got into powerlifting, and I stayed around 270, maybe 275, 280 for a little bit, which I called the never get laid look. Yeah. And I was, as my father would say, you're only good for two things: taking out the garbage and a bar fight.
Yeah.
Did you ever bounce at any of these clubs?
Yeah. I bounced in when I was younger.
Mhm.
Because I was one of the, when I was younger, there weren't a lot of guys my size. And, when I would go to a club, most of the time I would get offered a job. So I would go, I worked at clubs where my friends would hang out, and I'm like, I'm going to go there anyway, so I might as well get paid,
True. Yeah.
So
Did you live in LA at any point, or you were always New York?
I lived in LA for a little bit. In '92, I sold a game show to Telepictures, and I lived out there in Agora Hills for about 6 months.
Mm.
I spent some time in Santa Monica, and I also unfortunately spent some time in Riverside, the hottest place I've ever been to in my life.
Really? It gets hot. It gets hot there.
I was
it's
just like
horrible.
the air doesn't move.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
low
You
or
ever
something. Yeah.
feel like you're walking the air and you're like,
Yeah. I feel like DC is kind of like that. It's like swampy there, though. It's not dry. Like it probably is out there.
Houston is the most humid place I've
Yeah.
ever been.
Yeah, it's nasty.
And obviously Las Vegas is really hot,
Mm.
but Houston is pretty rough in the summer.
So are you based in New York now?
Yeah, I'm living in New York. I just actually recently moved out. I moved out of the city during the pandemic. I was in Manhattan for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And then it got crazy.
It was getting freaking worse. I haven't been there in 4 years now.
Tom, during the pandemic, I had a curfew. I had to be in at 7:00, right? They closed the subways.
That's nuts.
Every restaurant was closed day and night, and they emptied the jails. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. My wife, my girlfriend, wherever she is, we didn't even we were under the pool table, and that's where she slept for the first. Then I showed her the Irrera weapon.
Yeah.
That was the last thing. No, never mind. I'll talk to you later. I'm glad to see you, man. I'm glad you're still working because I haven't been back so long. Rascals closed, right? A while ago.
Rascals closed,
Comedy
right?
Club. Where was
Rascals-
that? Where was that?
That was in East Orange, New Jersey,
Yeah.
and there was one in Southern New Jersey too. There were two of them. Rascals at one point was like the premier comedy club on the East Coast.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
a lot of clubs end up going out of business because of COVID?
Oh, yeah.
See a lot of that.
Back east, a lot of them were able to to restart. Some clubs, especially in the city, they're having trouble getting people because people don't travel into the city anymore like they used to.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a legitimate fear of going into the city. Now you have to, go on a date. You don't feel safe. You're paying.
You're not safe.
You're not safe. You're paying $65 and up for parking.
Yeah.
Now they have congestion pricing for tolls. If you go below 61st Street, you have to pay an additional like $16.
Yeah,
And
if it's during the day or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's $100 before you even get in the door.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You pay $35 the ticket, and you want 2 drink minimum, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it should be $100 night, not a $400 night.
Yeah, it's like anything else. I mean, you go to do something, and there's like 20 hands in your pocket.
You still think the comedy in New York's the best in the country? Or you think that changed? Like,
you know what? For the longest time, and I don't know if you agree with me, Dom, if you were going to do anything in comedy, regardless of whether you were from Boston or Philly or DC or even Los Angeles, you somehow had to come through New York. And that seemed to be all the guys from Boston, Nick DiPaolo, Bill Burr, and, those guys, they all worked their way down. Dom would come up from Philly. you know, but I always saw it as a New York, LA thing.
Well, actually, what happens is if you've done all you can possibly do, then they go to Los Angeles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the last stop before Tokyo or whatever, Japan. And the scene there's like this is it. You can't go further west, but there's a lot of pressure on there. In New York, you can be part of a group that also want to become good stand-ups. It's not always about the money and the frame, you know.
The fame
I
and
think
getting on
the
shows
seller-
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
there
this-
were guys in New York that were out 7 days a week doing sets at 4 different clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bouncing around. They would go to the comic strip, to Catch a Rising Star, to the Improv, to, you know, to Dangerfields or any other one-nighters and stuff like that. The guys were working like you couldn't believe, you know. And you guys, I'll tell you what you guys missed as far as the comedy scene is you know, before they even had, you know, Comedy Central and all that stuff. During the comedy boom in the '80s, anywhere you went. There were comedy clubs everywhere, but every ground round or every Applebee's or anything, they had a comedy night
Oh,
where
cool.
people could get on. There was so much work. There wasn't enough comedians. And now it's the opposite. There's too many comedians and not enough work.
There weren't many show. Remember how they needed a car because they couldn't. If they didn't get their car,
Yes.
you only get a gig if you got a
Guys
trunk.
would get gigs because they had cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we used to have to pick the comedians up in Manhattan to bring them to Yonkers.
Yeah.
How long of a ride's that?
Oh,
Yonkers?
half hour.
Yeah.
25 minutes. No traffic. You know.
Yeah, you know, Austin. I was down in Austin, and
We know.
thanks, Tom. That scene's kind of like you're saying old school New York. Like a lot of my friends that moved down there, they're getting up 4 or 5 times a night. Like I feel like New York right now, it's only like that for like the big names or guys that have been there and put their time in 10, 15, 20 years, you know. You can't get up like you used to. I mean, I hear these stories, but you're not getting quality stage time down in the city unless you're past at the Cellar, past at the Stand, past at New York Comedy Club.
Well, there's one thing that, you know, they never tell you, you know, I never went to comedy school, but they don't tell you in comedy school how to network. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing today. I mean, if you're a comedian and, you know, you perform on stage, you gotta learn how to network. You got to get your own group of guys that you started with, you know, that everybody leans on each other and you find out where the gigs are and so on and so forth, you know.
Definitely.
What did you come in at? How much money did you get the first one?
How much money did I get tonight?
No, anybody like
Your first gig.
Oh, my first gig?
Yeah.
I can tell you my first gig, I got paid a sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
What kind of sandwich?
listen to this story. The guy goes, I have no money. He goes, I'll put you up, but I can give you a sandwich. So I said, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the sandwich. So I got off the stage and he goes, okay. He goes, what kind of sandwich you would like? And I said, I'll have turkey. And he goes, you can only have the cheeseburger. I said, what the fuck did you ask me for? I said,
That's great.
why don't you just tell me you're going to give me a cheeseburger? And that's the way you get treated. That's the way you're supposed to get treated when you first start.
Atlanta the guy would offer you money or coke.
Yeah.
You want cash? You want coke?
Cocaine. That's great.
Yeah.
That's definitely the 80s.
Yeah. Well, the 80s were crazy, man. But that was
What was your where was your home club, John, down in New York?
for me, Stand Up New York, which just recently closed on the Upper West Side. But I spent a lot of time at Caroline's. I had a great relationship with them. I've worked at Gotham enough times. but now for the past, 4.5 years, I've been on the road with Anthony. So, I don't get what, Dom?
What was that? Something in Anthony.
Yeah, I work with this young man. You had him on your podcast.
Yeah, he did the show. Dom Anthony Rodea.
Right,
he was right before he went to Australia. I don't know if he ever went.
No, he didn't go.
Oh, he didn't go. Yeah,
he didn't go to Australia.
Mm-hmm. How's it been going on the road with him?
It's good. I mean, I always wanted to work at, the better clubs, have the opportunity, but I couldn't do it. I was on the radio because I couldn't leave town.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, at that time, I wasn't even good enough to be in some of these clubs.
Right.
But I stayed with it, and it's good. I mean, it has its ups and downs. I mean, Dom could tell you more about it than me. I mean, he was a road warrior forever.
Look at him. Look at him now. He's a bad piece of shit.
You used to go to Canada a lot, right, Dom?
Did you ever see Sophie? Yeah.
Yes, I remember Sophie.
Everybody does. It's amazing. She was so fucking hot.
I never met her, Dom.
Yeah,
when you gonna
introduce
introduce me and Brian?
She died of natural causes.
My little French. She used to say, I forgot what you used to call her little French. Was she French?
Yeah, Canadian, French Canadian.
Yeah,
yeah, she used to go, my little French woman.
Smoking.
Yeah, he was Dom did a lot of things, man. He did a lot. I'm gonna be polite. Dom. But they loved you in Canada, Dom. I mean, you have such a great reputation up there.
What were the big clubs in Canada?
Well, he used to do the
JFL, of course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And that just went out about 2 months ago.
Yeah, I heard that.
They stopped.
That was a blast. Beautiful city, beautiful girls, and easy pickings.
Yeah,
What's that?
I tell you, I enjoy Toronto more than Montreal.
Oh, you only speak one language. I speak 6.
Yeah,
I speak French, Spanish, and the rest of them, Peruvian or whatever. I saw these guys last night. This is what it comes out hard, I'm thinking there's something weird going on. It was all Persian, it was all Iranians, and from people from Egypt and all. And thinking this is a place like a bomb, so fucking crazy. And they're real rich if they're here. So
where were you at, Dom? Was that the show last night?
Laugh Factory, yeah.
Oh, Laugh Factory. Was it like an Arab show or something like that? Who
no, sometimes it's like that. You can tell because when the Muslim acts get up, they always do that bit about how the guy gets louder. It's like, why didn't I say, why don't you do that? And they're all joking. I don't know what the fuck they said.
Right.
Holy shit. He's mostly a writer.
Yeah.
But it's so funny coming from Philly, New York, all the Goombas there. It's Irish and it's Italian, it's Jewish. We don't have like here. You could be anywhere from Antarctica. I mean, it's like you don't know where you're going to be. I guess it's good for television.
Yeah, TV. Yeah, get different kinds of like casts and stuff like that. Diverse cast.
We
were talking about how important like the Tonight Show was.
Oh my God, you were headliner if you got on there the next day.
Yeah, of course. But he said to me, he goes, he'd be behind me, the guy that booked me. He goes, "Have fun." I said, "Fun?" He goes, "Yeah, what?" This isn't fun. This is fucking torture. My fucking heart's beating 199 seconds a minute. I was like fucking. All I wanted to do was run right out of through the wall and out like in the cartoons. And just keep going. So, after my girl, she wanted to get something to eat. I said, "No, take me to Comedy Store. I want to do a set just to get this one out of my mind."
What was the first late night show you were on, Tom?
Cheech and Chong they were on. No, they were locals. It was a local New York show. They were guest locals for a couple. That was it. It was just a local one.
Oh, really? Cheech and Chong had a show in New York. They did it.
Yeah, well, the time I did, I heard they did like most of the things, but the Weatherman, they like Weatherman. I think he was the host. What was the first gug that was around there, like Rodney's place and all that?
Rodney's place just reopened.
Yeah, but they just have the name Rodney, right?
Yeah, they just have the name Rodney. They gutted it out. It looks like a totally different vibe in there. I don't know. You feel like you're in a cabana in some.
You worked the club, the new one?
Yeah, me and Anthony worked it like 3-4 weeks ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, for the first time. You know, I never worked there much. That was
I never did either.
Comedians used to do that. Was famous for proms. Everybody, you know, in the tri-state area on their prom would go to Rodney's. That would be they'd take their limousines into the city and they'd go see a comedy show.
Yeah, I thought that was your first TV appearance. Was when you did
I just went.
Rodney showcase.
The one with Dice and all those guys. It was. We just did we didn't play his club, but he was just a fucking great guy to us. He loved our generation. I guess he didn't like his first generation, the guys he grew up with. So when he got money and fame, he right for us and Sam Kennerson and all those guys at that time.
Did you meet him in New York, Rodney Dangerfield, or LA?
No, I met him in LA. He came in with his producer, and Damon Wayans and not Schimmel. Barry Sobel went on before me. He was supposed to do 10 minutes. Each one of them did 25 minutes. I was so fucking pissed off. I didn't do any of my act. I just laid into them. Right? So I got over the stage and Ronnie goes, "Listen, kid, you're funny, but you got no jokes." I said, "I'm pissed off. I'm sorry you had to see that, but I just." He goes, "No, that's all right. I'll see you Saturday. You can come in there." And that's how I got it.
Oh wow, that's.
Then we became friends. It was so cool being friends with a guy like this. He's funny, he's smart, he's amazing. I used to sit there and talk to him. He says, "Can I do anything for you, kid?" I go, "No, Brian, you do. It's so cool just to be your friends." He goes, "Well, if you need anything," I said, "You know what? I would like one thing. If you closed your robe." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I can't eat and eat your little purple balls in front of me." "Oh, hey, you're all right, kid. You're all right."
he came up to the club in Yonkers, Dom, once. He was funnier than hell. He came out of the car. He had pajamas on, and slippers, and he was drinking. He was drinking straight vodka, and
Just didn't care. That's great.
Oh my God, he
got away with so much because his character was so strong.
Right.
And a lot of that was just corny jokes, but he's so fucking funny.
Did he do stand up like after later on in his career after the movies all popped off, or he? He always kept doing stand up.
Yeah, well, it was hot then, he's filling up Caesars.
Yeah,
yeah, he was. His comedy is timeless.
Well, he had a set on the night show. It was so fucking perfect. He hit him like they killed. Commercial company comes back and does it again.
Really?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The amount of material he used in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like a machine gun.
Yeah, it was all one-liners. It was just boom, boom, boom.
Well,
boom,
I liked how Carson would ask him questions because he had jokes for his act.
Yeah.
So they would talk beforehand.
Well,
and he would write down all the subjects, and and then at the end of the conversation, he would be like, "Well, you got anything else to say?" And it would always get awkward. He'd be like, "No, that's it."
right.
Yeah, I'm done. Next guest.
So where do you go next, brother?
Me, Mohegan Sun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, is the next one.
Cool.
It's always great to go to a casino and actually work for nothing, less than nothing sometimes.
You gamble?
You know what? Yes and no.
I
you know?
seen you putting hundreds in the machine
Yeah.
when we were leaving the showroom at the Borgata that night.
Yeah, I got
What do you like to play?
I like roulette.
Nice.
Because I mean I don't have the attention span to play blackjack.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to do the counting. That's what I said.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, just to sit there with those people that you don't know, and everybody's judging your hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting there with like a 16, and you know everybody's looking at me. All right, don't take a hit. Don't take a hit. Don't take a hit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, do I take a hit or am I going to ruin everybody's night?
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't need that pressure. All right. The ball goes around, it lands on a number. I win, I lose. You know what I mean? That's it.
That's
But-
why I like poker. It's you versus me.
Yeah, well, poker's fun.
Yeah.
You know, poker's fun. I'm a little amazed. I started to play the penny slots. And I sat down. I said, you know what? I'm going to smoke a cigar. I'm going to play the penny slots. I'm going to kill a half hour. Well, you know what? I lost $400 in a half hour on a fucking. How do you lose $400 on penny slots?
Oh man!
And they're what do you call? They're geared.
Oh yeah.
Nobody bets a penny.
No.
Yeah, well, they're normally set like 88 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and then you pick the
Multiple
amount.
lines.
Yeah, so you know, I picked the amount. I said I wanted to play 10 cents. But then you press 88 and you're playing $8.80 a spin. It's not a penny slot anymore.
Do you bet at the sports book now that all the casinos have sports book?
Nah, I'm not big on sports betting. I mean, I like to bet hockey a little bit. I'm a hockey fan. Some football, you know, once in a while if I get a premonition or something.
Dom, you just bet football, right, Dom?
Sorry, guys. I got a fucked up throat from screaming at my girlfriend. I hit that motherfucker so hard this morning. Take it out. Take it out.
Oh, jeez.
Did RuPaul come on your show?
What?
Did RuPaul come on your show?
RuPaul was one of the co-hosts for the first couple
That's
of
what
years.
I thought. I
Oh,
told
that's
somebody
wild.
that. They go,
No way, really?
Yeah.
but he
Oh,
was like
wow.
he was
Great guy.
he seemed like, but he didn't even look gay to me. He was like just a dressed up black guy, you know.
Right.
I had no idea it was him. But
Yeah,
he
no,
was-
he didn't come. He didn't come to the studio in drag. He came,
yeah.
you know, as himself. He didn't get dressed up to come to the studio.
Mhm.
But he was. I have to say, he was. He had a great sense of humor. He used to call. You know what he used to call himself, Dom, on the radio? The Staten Island Fairy. And he had a great sense of humor.
Oh my
he would
God.
make fun
That's
of
so
himself.
funny.
And he would say to me, you know, we were talking about radio, and we were doing the morning show, and he goes, "Goumba Johnny, I got to tell you something." He goes, "Drag queens don't get up at 4:30 in the morning to come to work. Drag queens come home at 4:30 in the morning." He goes, "I am not used to this. I'm not gonna last." And he I have to say, I never met anybody like RuPaul, any kind of drag queen or anything like that, and he changed all my sensibilities about so many things, regarding people who are different than me. He was
cool.
yeah, no, he was smart, and if
How long did you work with him?
he was there for 2 years.
Mhm.
And then he went on,
Yeah, huge show. Still, I think that show's still going on that he
Yeah.
does.
and if you would listen to his stories about what happened to him in the 70s, the way he was treated on the street, the way he was ignored. I mean, this guy was assaulted, cops didn't even give a shit. I mean, all sorts of stuff. I mean, he was discounted as a human being, that whole collective.
Right.
And And then you see what he was able to accomplish down the line. This guy's really an icon.
Mhm.
He's a real important person in our society. And, people like, for lack of better examples, like, Caitlyn Jenner,
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. RuPaul did it the hard way.
What,
He
what
was
was
hot.
what was the career turn for RuPaul? What was it? A reality show?
No, it was the radio.
Oh, radio first. Okay.
Yeah, if he did the radio, and then he did the reality show, and it just caught. It's not even a domestic thing; it's an international thing.
Right.
His show is shown all around the world. People love him, and rightly so. He's a very, very good person,
Mhm.
and
Nice legs too. Why is that wrong?
No, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. You like what you like, Dom. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're a leg guy. You know.
Thanks,
Yeah, like
guys. They just came out. Whew, what a relief.
Dom, I thought you were an ass guy, Dom.
I like a big fat ass. Something like. Anyway, tell your weapons said hi. John,
Well-
thanks for coming, my brother. It was great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Dom, man. I miss you, and I have such great memories with you. And I have to thank you. I learned so much about being a professional by being able to work with you and to watch with you. And
All you got to do is do what I do. Kill! I destroy, and I'm unbelievable. Just do that every time, no matter what happens. No,
John,
seriously.
good seeing you, buddy.
good
Me
seeing
too.
you, Steve. Nice meeting you, young man.
Yep. Take care.
And congratulations on your alternative lifestyle choice.
John, make sure you say hi to everybody for me.
I
Okay,
will. I definitely
I
will.
love that place. I love the guy who runs the Governors too.
Yeah, Jimmy.
What a trip that guy is. Nice
Yes,
family. Yeah, I love that guy.
that's an old school comedy club owner.
Yeah, he got starch in his shirt still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, take care, brother.
Take care. Nice seeing you guys.
See
Thank
you
you for
guys.
having me on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yo, Dom,
Yo, Dom.